Welcome back again, folks, to another episode of the Profitable Sheep and Goat Production Call. I'm Leon with Lost Creek Wholesale. We are your universal feeder and ram quip supplier. And I have my friend Matt along today, as usual, from Glenbrook Farms. And today we have a special guest on, R.H. Witten from Missouri. Hey, goat guys, I'm telling you, told you. Didn't we tell him, Matt? We're gonna get another goat guy on. So people have been asking for, they want to hear from some more goat producers. So we have RH here from Cluck Ranch. Glad to have you here today,
Awesome.
RH.
Thank y'all for having me. It's awesome.
So to get started, why don't you give us a little bit of a background, where you are, who you are, how you got into goats
Okay.
on the scale that you are today?
Okay. Well, my name's R.H. Witten, and I'm with Cluck Ranch, and uh, we actually moved from Texas to Missouri. I guess it'd been 11 years ago, and when we moved there, or moved from Texas to here, we were very naive to the place that we bought, and we thought we were going to get here and run 900 head of cows, and we brought our red Angus cows from Texas, and about 2 years in, we got up to about 600 mama cows, and we realized that this place was not going to work for cattle. We were very naive to what we bought. I mean, it was growing a plant called Cerisa lespedeza that about the only thing that really does a good job eating it is a goat, and so that's kind of when we transitioned into goats. I guess we actually transitioned into goats and sheep. But if anybody knows my father-in-law, and he is actually the owner of this ranch. So Carl Cluck is my father-in-law. I married his daughter, and we all were actually not when we moved here. We all weren't together. And when he sold his place in Texas, he wanted his whole family to come with him. So that was kind of the deal. If he sold that place, he was going to buy this one, and if we didn't all come together, he wasn't going to do it. So that's kind of what got us here. But if you know my father-in-law, when he does something, he don't go small. He goes big. And the initial plan was to sell half the cows, keep half of them, and just get about 1,000 head of goats and to see how we got along. And he went to Texas to buy goats, and uh, all of a sudden, Paulo started showing up with sheep too. And then uh, so we got about 1,800 head of sheep, about 1,300 head of goats, and still had them all cows. And so it was quite the deal. And then when you don't know squat about small ruminants and you're getting that many of them, you learn pretty quick.
Yeah, I would think.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's a little bit about how we got into small ruminants. We were naive to the place that we bought, and uh, and so that's what got us into small ruminants. They were basically what was going to utilize the place the best.
Did you guys have any experience in small ruminants?
So my father-in-law Carl, back in the '90s when the Boer goats was a big thing, when it was he was into it, and he ran a decent amount of goats in Texas. He was big into the embryos and was very successful with all that. They ended up sending him to Africa and with embryo programs, and he was very successful in that. My brother-in-law and I, we didn't have a clue about small ruminants. Only thing I knew about small ruminants was when I was rodeoing, they'd have goat ropings, and I'd go and rope goats. That's about all I knew about small ruminants. So, uh,
That that might come in handy sometimes.
oh, it does. It very well does when you need a doctor one.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah. So a little bit more on why wasn't your place why weren't the cows working? So aside from the Cerisa lesbianism, why else weren't the cows working?
Yeah. So some of it was the genetics. Uh, we had a northern genetic red Angus cow. So basically, a lot of the like he bought a lot of heifers out of North Dakota, Nebraska, and then all of our bulls always came from Nebraska. And So they were a northern genetic with a lot of hair. We're very high humidity. Fescue was causing us some issues, and every single year our production was going down. Our weaning weights weren't as good. Our breed ups weren't as good. Uh, we were just having all kinds of issues, and they stood in the pond most of the time. They could not. They couldn't handle the heat. They couldn't handle the humidity, and so that was partly why they weren't working for us.
That's interesting. That it just reemphasizes the fact that there's what's the word I want? Locally adapted genetics,
Oh
I
yeah,
guess is what I'm
yeah.
for your geographic area. And I hear it again and again with sheep sometimes that when people take them, oh, I mean, a lot of times it works okay, but sometimes when you take sheep from hot, humid, or switch it around, sometimes there's some acclimation
Well, we can
hiccups.
speak on that too because
Yeah.
when we for us to get numbers that we needed for goats or even sheep, we had to go to Texas to get them. And where we went to Texas to get them was it was dry desert kind of country, you know. Well, then you bring them from there to a wet climate. Uh, the fallout, the adaptability. I mean, there's just a lot of that. It takes a while to get things lined out, and and we've started seeing it in our own herd. The ones that we don't have as many problems with is ones that we've raised ourselves. But stuff that and when we first started bringing them in, we were bringing older name or not older, but we weren't bringing kids in. We were bringing in nannies. Well, those we had a lot of struggles with them, foot problems, just parasites, just all kinds of things. The things that that happen with small ruminants. It just escalated those issues when we brought in mature nannies or mature does. Uh, it wasn't as bad with kids or ewe lambs, but when we brought in mature stuff, it escalated the problems. That and not just that, but also we're bringing them in, and we're new, we're newbies, we're greenhorns, it's small ruminants, and then we also had people that was trying to mentor us a little bit that had actually brought animals out of West Texas to a wet climate, and they would tell us things, and we'd be like, "Oh, you're full of it." And if we would have just listened, uh, it would have saved us a lot of heartache. But
Yeah.
a man's got to learn from himself, I guess. So
Yeah.
uh, we got to learn the hard way.
What, if you don't mind sharing, what were some of those lessons, or what were some of those things that you wish you would have done different with bringing them up and adapting them to your ranch?
So I think looking back on it, and we started doing this, but a lot of it had to do with uh, how clean the truck was, things to do as they come off the truck. Like this is going to sound crazy, but Clorox and spraying the truck down with Clorox, and as they're coming off, misting Clorox over their heads to kill any kind of bacteria that might cause eye issues because we had eye issues. And then worming. I think just when you get them there, start from scratch, get them drenched, get them cleaned out the best you can, and start from scratch. Uh, and then uh, foot bath, and then just uh, trying to think some other things.
Did you dump them right out on pasture, or did you dry lot them or something first so you got them straightened out after they came off the trucks?
We did, and we put them on pasture. Is what we would do. There for a while, a lot of what was causing us problems was we were trying to get fence built, and we weren't getting fence built fast enough for the amount of animals that was coming in. And so we were a lot of times we were throwing nannies with ewes and throwing them together, throwing them on a pasture, and it was just me and my brother-in-law here taking care of these animals, and my father-in-law still in Texas sending them to us.
So
So
bad.
we're just uh, uh, we're just trying to keep our heads above water. So uh, looking back on it, I wish we could have not done that. I mean, we would throw them on pasture, and uh, and they'd be running out of a home, and we'd be needing to move them, but we hadn't quite got the next move made, or just we had a lot of things going wrong. So the biggest advice I would say to somebody would be make sure you have your fences in order before you start buying them, because have a plan in place before you don't just go hog wild. And because that was our biggest problem was we just went all in, uh, and we had to. We're trying to make a living with livestock, and we there was a lot of things that we had to do. We were basically selling half our income, and we needed something else to replace those. And so when you sell 300 cows, uh, the amount of small ruminants that it takes, the amount of sheep or goats that it takes to replace them is quite a bit. And so we did have to move fast. And uh, it was just, if a guy is to do it, if you can, try having your stuff in place, fences in place, and the best you can.
Mhm.
Uh,
Probably these animals came from multiple different ranches too, probably.
yeah, yep. There were some big groups we were able to buy off of one place, and when we were able to do that, we got along better with those, uh, lining them out. And but yeah, when you're throwing them a lot of different ones together, it causes you're just you're throwing problems with problems.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah. What happened to the sheep?
And I tell you what, so many things I loved about them. We had a Dorper cross sheep. It was a Dorper and a Royal White,
Yeah.
or a yeah, I think they call them Royal Whites down in Texas. It was like a St. Croix, a Dorper cross, and then we were throwing Dorper rams across them. Uh, I love so many things about them. Their mothering instinct was amazing. Uh, their growth was amazing. How well they grew, but we struggled with parasites with them. Uh, I think looking back on it, if we made them use fall lambers instead of making them spring lambers, because we were lambing them out in April, May, and come June when the heat would come on and they have a pretty good sized kid on their side, uh, the parasites would just hammer them.
Yeah.
Just and we couldn't win on that. Uh, but we had some that lambed in the fall, right before we got rid of them. We had some that lambed in the fall and got along great with them, but we were already on the way out. So, uh, but I think we could have made the sheep work, and I think before long we're going to have to get back into sheep,
Yeah.
because I think there's places of this place that needs more of a grazer. So,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And there
So
is more parasite resistant genetics out there than your Texas Dorpers,
oh yeah, yeah,
you know.
yeah.
Just not naming any names or anything, just saying there there is more parasite resistant genetics out there.
Oh yeah.
Me and Leon are both Katahdin breeders, but there's other ones out there as well, definitely. But yeah, no, I was just curious how that worked out. But
That was our experience.
yeah,
That,
yeah.
that was our
So
experience.
the goats that you were buying in, were they predominantly Spanish, or how did you get to where you are now?
They were all Spanish.
Hey, folks, we're going to take a brief break here before we get further into this podcast. Wanted to tell you folks about an event that's happening in Pennsylvania here in October. It is the Pennsylvania Sheep and Wool Festival. This event is happening October 11th and 12th. If you want to learn more about this event, you can go to www.pasheepandwoolfest.com. There you can see a list of the events that are happening. You can buy tickets. You can see what vendors are going to be there. Just a brief rundown of the events that are happening those 2 days. There's a fleece to shawl competition. There's a sheep show competition, a breed parade. There's a herding trial, some herding dog demonstrations, several sheep seminars. It looks like a fun-filled day. We're even going to have a lamb cooking demonstration. It looks like it's a well-rounded event that's gonna be something for the whole family. So if you're looking for something to do that weekend, I encourage you to take your family out there to the Pennsylvania Sheep and Wool Festival, October 11th and 12th. We'll see you there.
We were trying to go as true of Spanish as we could, because of Carl's experience with dealing with 4 goats. He knew that they wouldn't work in our environment. Uh, they he knew they had too many udder problems, too many mothering instinct problems, over domesticated, and in a ranch setting like we are, where we're kidding them out on pasture. We're not babying them. We're not kidding them out in the barn. We are needing them to survive. We're basically treating them the same way we treated our cow herd, and so we need them to. We're ranching them. I mean, we need them to work, and so that's why he went the Spanish route, because the hardiness of them, uh, the mothering instincts of them, the parasite resistance is better on them, and so and there's a huge demand for the females, just a huge demand for them, and so that's kind of why he chose Spanish.
So I see in your videos you have two different types, and Carl, you and I have talked some the other day, and you mentioned the fact. Talk about that a little bit before we get into your production system. You have black ones, and then well, I don't know what goat guys call them.
We call them Kensings. That's kind of what we call them. That's the Kensings is the name of Robert Kensing was who kind of started that herd, and uh, they're almost like a buckskin color, or uh, and that's what we call there's and that's not just like the ones that look like that. For us, it's not just Kensing genetics. There's Weinheimer genetics in there. Uh, there's Sawyer genetics. So there's other genetics in there, but we just always refer to them as Kensings. But they're like more of a buckskin colored. They're a bigger goat. They'll weigh a little bit more than our blacks. Our blacks are smaller framed. Uh, they the Kensings and all those other genetics like that. They focus more on uh, a real growthy. They're focused on getting a lot of growth out of them. And our blacks, the people that had raised those, they were focused on color and maternal traits, mothering instincts, and so they're a little bit smaller. Uh, Me preferably, I love the blacks. I love seeing all black out there, and not just that, but our blacks every single year usually give us more production. They'll have more kids. They may be smaller, but you're getting more kids out of them. And I don't care if you have a single weighing 60, 65 pounds when you go to sell them, but if you have an A that's giving you 1.5 and they're 55 pounds, you're gonna make more money on that. So uh, I don't. I like the blacks. I really like the blacks. And when you see a herd of all blacks, it just it. I don't care if even if you don't like blacks, it still looks good, and it just looks good. So
So maybe you want to just give a little bit of an overview of your production cycle. When you turn the bucks out, when you kid,
yeah,
what does that look
okay.
like?
So we'll throw Billy's in. This year we're moving a week ahead. Uh, so instead of having March 8th kids, we're gonna have March 15th kids. So basically we'll throw out uh, mid October, and we have, the reason we're doing that is the last 2 years we've kidded started March 7th, March 8th is when we started kidding, but we still get some cold rains in. Temperatures can be a little cold, and so we're kind of rolling the dice on maybe losing some to weather. And so that's why we do that. Uh, we don't have it all figured out. We keep trying different things and new things. And so, like this year, uh, that's how I kind of got in contact, or Leon contacted us for this. But then we got to talking about the feeders that y'all sell, and so And before this, we were already talking about changing our system up a little bit. There for a while, we had them in big groups, so we'd have them in 1,000 head groups, and a lot of our place is basically cut up into 20-acre pastures, and there's like 2 water tanks per pasture, uh, and we would just rotate through those pastures. And some things that we're seeing with that when we having them in a big group like that, they trample more than they eat, and so the trample effect is really good, but uh, I think there's a happy medium there, and so we're trying to find that. So we're gonna get a little bit smaller groups, and then also we're gonna supplement with these feeders. Try supplementing for 6 months out of the year and help our production. See if we can't get our production to increase. Uh, we know people that's doing it, that's getting higher production, and so we're trying different things. We ain't got it figured out, but we're trying different things, and we're hoping by doing that. We've always been trying to low inputs. So basically, just graze 365. Try graze them 365 days out of the year, and for the most part, we've been able to do that. But we feel like we're leaving a lot of production out there, and by if we spend a little bit, we potentially could gain a lot more if we're willing to spend a little bit. So uh, we're trying to learn, trying to see how we could do better, and that's where we are right now. We're trying to pour some inputs into them, and I really believe if by doing this, we're going to see a huge increase in production.
Yep. Complement your system. So if you have 100 head or 100 head, 1,000 head in one group in 20-acre paddocks, how often are you having to move them?
A lot of times it depends on the year and the season, but like a lot of those groups, I was able to stay about 5 days with 1,000 head group.
Okay.
Uh, so some days, like I had one group that was basically all yearlings. It was almost 2,000 head, and I was moving them every 2 days. And then it got to where I could stay 4 days. Uh, and even when I left there was a lot of forage still there. Uh, and you can go on our Facebook page and see some of those videos of what it even looks like when I came into a pasture and what it looks like when I left that pasture. There was a lot of good to what it looked like uh, having that big of a group and how the uniformity that you could graze it, uh, and what you could do to the soil health or the grasses because I know it's helping. But on the other hand, uh, there's enough forage there that I should have been able to stay 10 days, and I was only able to stay 5 days because they trampled so much. If that makes sense.
Yeah,
So
makes sense.
yeah, so I don't know, it's a it's a learning curve.
Do
Yeah.
You're still running some cattle, right?
No, we
No, not at all. Okay.
no.
I was gonna ask you if you run the cattle ahead of the goats at all to utilize some of that grass and then come in and clean up the brush because that's probably where a lot of your trampling comes from is the grass because a
Yeah,
goat will go for the brush before he'll even look at grass most times.
yeah. And in our system, like with that one plant that we got with with the Cerise Celestideza, uh, like it's almost so monocultured, or it was so monocultured, and that's basically what we're trying to chase is that plant, and uh, and it's caused us issues. It's like when you read studies on it, when you have too much of it, it can cause binding up copper. It can cause weight gains not to be as good. It can cause a lot of issues, and people think that it's a natural dewormer. Uh, and maybe if we didn't have it, it would be, or if we didn't have it, we maybe experience more parasite problems than we do. But I don't fully see it being a natural dewormer. Uh, I to be honest, I hate the plant. Uh, we wouldn't be in goats if it wasn't for it, but I don't like the plant. It's causing so much headache. Uh, but I don't know.
Matt, you remember when we were down there in Southern Ohio at, Crossroads Livestock?
Oh, yeah, yeah.
He had a lot of that stuff.
Okay, yeah, yeah, I remember seeing it down there.
It's almost a little bit shrubby, isn't it? It can almost get it's almost like a small,
True.
bushy.
And
Yeah,
especially after it's been grazed once, it'll kind of that's when it'll kind of get kind of shrubby. Uh, but if it doesn't get grazed, it'll get 4 or 5 foot tall. Uh,
yeah.
and it kind of has some shoots on it that they call it poor man's alfalfa. Uh, but it's an interesting plant to say the least, and a
Yeah.
very very overtaking one too. I mean, we got a seed bed there that's just we can do a really good job grazing it, and if the conditions are right, it's crazy how many new seedlings sprout and come on. I mean, it's been quite the plant to deal with on this place.
Have I don't know if we asked you how long you've been in goats, but have you been able to see some suppression of it with grazing it with the goats?
We
Or
have,
okay, yeah,
yeah, and
so
that's one thing too that's been neat with the goats is before the goats, with the cattle, it was just getting thicker and thicker, and there was nothing else growing underneath there. All it was Cerisa lespedeza. But now with the goats, we at least have a diversity of plants coming on. We have some native grasses coming on. We have where there was cool season grasses, it's coming on. So we do have a diversity happening with using the goats. Uh, but before we didn't.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
You'll be able to push that back and then they'll kinda work themselves out of a job a little bit there,
Possible. Yeah.
where you were saying with bringing sheep or something back in.
Yep.
Yeah,
Yep. Yep. Exactly.
yeah,
Exactly.
very good. Yeah.
So let's pick up with your production cycle again. So you said I forget what we just get in April,
Not March.
March.
Yep. We started kidding in March, mid March
So
now.
let's dig into that. What's that look like a little bit more? You're just pretty much letting them kid on pasture, unassisted. Do you have any? Yeah. What's that look like?
So we'll try breaking them up into smaller groups. And like
What do you call a smaller group with 4,000 nannies?
so we'll try breaking them up into like 200 head groups and give them a long like a 200 head group may have 4 different 20-acre pastures and basically gates open to those 4 pastures, and we'll kind of put them there 1st of March and just set stock them and let them just kid and kind of just try staying out of them. This last year I had an issue with a well, and I ended up having to open more gates. So all the groups I had broke up. So I had like a 400 head. No, I had 600 head on this one end, and basically had them in 3 different groups. Well, no, in 4 different groups. Well, the well went down on us, and so I had to open up gates to ponds, and they ended up all basically congregating at that one pond. They would go out and kid, uh, and it worked actually. I mean, it worked. It wasn't, I would say, ideal, but we just had to roll with what we had, what happened. Uh, but that's kind of what it looks like, and we just try staying at them the best we can, and just let them do their thing. Make sure they got food, water. Make sure there's enough forage in front of them, and they got water. And predators can be an issue for us. And really, we hadn't had a whole lot of problems with predators in the past that we know of, but this last year, or the last 2 years, we've had heck with eagles. Eagles have they have given us fits. I mean, then they'll literally just fly down, get on one, pluck their eyes out, and go on to another one. Uh, it's and what stinks is there's nothing you can do about it other than hope your guard dogs run them off.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah. I
Yeah.
know black
so
I know black vultures will take eyes out I thought the eagle might just haul off with them or eat them right there.
Yeah, and they do. They'll eat them right there. I've even found some. So the way our water tanks are, they're big. They're tire tanks, and in that tire tank we have a 4x4 panel to where there's basically this little bitty gap uh, for for the goats to drink out of. Well, one spring while we were kidding, I'm going down through there, and this one water tank was off. It had a little water in the bottom of it, but in the center of the tire where the concrete is, there wasn't any water right there. But there stood a kid. There's no other way he would have got in there, other than I'm guessing a eagle or something grabbed him and lost grip and dropped it, and that's where it landed. I mean, it was just there's no other way it could have got in there. I mean, I realize it's a goat, but there was no other way that it could have got in there. So uh, they're quite. It's that's been a hard one to navigate. The eagles.
Do do the dogs help? The dogs help with that?
Yeah, I've had some. We've had some that kind of they literally will as that bird's flying around, they're trying to bark and try running it off, and there's some that have done that, uh, and but there's some that just don't. They uh, and it also depends on how if we've got enough dogs or not. And that's one nice thing about like the bigger groups. There's benefits to it, and then there's smaller groups. There's benefits to it. Uh, I almost when I had to open the gates, I almost seen it was easier for our guard dogs to work and do their job because those nannies ended up coming together and basically became their own predator control by gathering together at one spot. Uh, and then it didn't take as many dogs to do a good job of doing their job. But then when you have a lot of different groups, then you create it's harder for the dogs to do their job. You got to have a lot more of them, and so I don't know. When you're doing it on pasture, kidding on pasture, uh, it's hard to navigate what to do exactly. Uh, at times, I like think to myself, well, if we calve them out, or if we would kid them out like we calved our heifers out, uh, it might work better. But man, the workload that would entail, bring them into a barn, and there's people that do it. There's people that do it, but
So are you breaking up your breeding group? Are you staging it or are you breeding everything at the same time?
we're bringing everything at the same time. Yep, and we'll leave Billy's out for 45 days. We'll leave them out for 45 days and then pull them. And so basically, last year was our first year to do that. The year before we did 60 days. But we're trying to get it to where basically 3, 4 weeks that we are kidded out. We are done kidding and uh, having more of a uniformity. That and then if we need to get them up and work them, we can get them up sooner and work them sooner. If we need to get them up to drench or whatever it may be, uh, this year we're talking about potentially trying it with a group, uh, getting them up and castrating all the males on a group, and to see how we get along doing it that way. The way we're doing it now, we are leaving everything intact, and then uh, come July, we're weaning all the kids, and so we're thinking about maybe castrating the group and leaving those kids way longer, uh, and then pulling them mid September, and then throwing those nannies on a supplemental, basically putting them on the feeders and pulling the kid off of them, putting them on a nutritional incline, maybe flushing them really good that way, and then throwing billies on is kind of what we're thinking. Try doing on a group and seeing what that'll do to them. Uh, I don't know. We're going to try some different things this next year.
Sure. Yep. When you're kidding out, you're like you said, you're pretty hands off. Are you really doing too much with them? You know, obviously driving around, taking a look at them, but how much do you have to get in there and assist? Probably very little.
Yeah. we really don't. If I see something that's going on, then and usually I'm too late. Uh, if there if there's something that needs help, I'm usually too late. I mean, it'll save the nanny, but the kid, it won't. Well,
Mhm.
a lot of times when I do see a problem, I'm too late, and the kid didn't make it. Um, but
It
we don't.
it's pretty
We
much
really don't say it again.
I was just saying that they pretty much have to, figure it out themselves, which
Yeah,
is that's great.
yeah,
Natural
yeah,
selection. Yep.
yeah, yeah. Um, it it's been a slow progression of trying to get something that works for us, and then with us about to change some things. But hopefully, by us helping them, they ought to thrive that much better. Uh, but it's different the way we're doing it. Uh, but it can be done. I mean, it can be done.
I'm curious how you track then which nannies to call if like how you figure out which ones aren't kidding or aren't raising kids, so forth. What's
Yep.
your how do you
That's
do that?
where
When we get them up to either when like the way we've been doing it, when we get them up to wean kids off of them,
Mhm.
whatever nanny's dry at that
Yeah.
point, we pull off. Uh, and then we sort those off, and a lot of times this last year we actually kept the ones that were dry because everybody we've been selling our dries to have been getting along really good with them. So we actually threw those dry nannies and put them on our nanny kids, and just so those nannies would lead those kids around, and but we bred them to see how they would do, and those dry nannies they raised a great kid crop on them. They did really good. But we also went back through those nannies, and if they were dry again, they they're no longer on this place. So we just tried that to see how we would get along and what we've seen. And it also showed us a little bit too, having them in a smaller group potentially made a difference for that. So, uh, but if we got foot problems or things like that, we try pulling those off. We just started, like this year we pulled those off, and uh, some of it when you know you got a problem, one goat may be causing your problem. I mean, she could be infecting all the other ones, and so a little bit it's on me when I didn't address that problem when I knew I had a problem. If I didn't go ahead and get her doctored or run them through a foot bath and get them treated, then I kind of caused a problem. So some nannies got infected or had foot problems, and it might not have necessarily been her fault, or maybe I shouldn't say her fault. She got exposed, and if I would have headed that off sooner and got the nanny that started it, may not have had that problem. But sometimes it's hard on a big group to get them worked
Yeah.
right then.
Yeah. Yeah, I like that strategy. You kind of put them, you're kind of using a two strikes and then you're out system where first strike they go in a separate group. You're not marking them or anything. You're just putting them in their own group, and then like you better give me a kid this year.
Yeah, yeah.
yeah.
And we were pretty lenient on our nanny kids. Uh, the first year, if they don't give us one, they kind of get the same thing. They get another chance. And when we first started off, we were being very, very hard on selecting our nannies on culling. Bad bags, uh, dry, didn't raise a kid, whatever it may have been. We were being very, very hard, and um, and then we kind of slowed down on that because man, we were culling a lot of nannies, and it was like, okay, maybe we gotta slow down a little bit on that until we get our numbers where they need to be because we were also trying to grow, and so we were keeping a lot of kids and that wasn't selling as many kids, uh, but we still needed to cash flow. So that's when we were like, okay, maybe we should slow down a little bit on how hard we're culling. And then a few years down the road, when we get our numbers where they need to be, then we go back to culling really hard.
Yep.
Uh, and there's kind of like I'd like to get to where we were very critical on our nanny kids, and we only kept genetics out of nanny kids that raised you a kid that first year, uh, and I because I think by doing that we're going to go to keeping the most fertile, uh, and then before long we ought to be able to get our nanny kids to where we're getting a huge percentage of them giving us kids. So I don't know. I think it's a process. It takes a lot of time.
Yeah. Yeah,
Oh,
I would agree. Like, it's always good to do it. You're where you're at today, and, you start making some selection criteria, and then you can keep stepping it up as you get better and better. If you try to do everything right away, you just might not be a good farmer anymore in a couple of years.
Yeah, yeah, excellent.
Yeah, yeah.
Especially with bringing like if we could have started with a herd that was raised in our environment, uh,
Mhm.
I think it would have been a different deal because they'd already been selected on. We're basically buying animals that have been the natural selection has been in a climate that's nothing like ours, and so and that's another thing I would tell people too is with getting into small ruminants, and you're better off if you can buy your stock from somebody that is doing it very similar to you in this very similar climate because it's going to save you a lot of headaches, a
Yeah,
lot of headaches, and it'll catapult you. Your production will be better starting off if
yeah,
you can.
yeah. Are you tagging any?
We're not.
Nothing.
Uh, we're not.
Like, how are you keeping track even of how old they are? Are you just teething them for that, or do they stay in their separate
No,
little.
we'll mouth them. So,
Yeah.
uh, we'll mouth them. We'll run them through and mouth them, and basically just go off like we just went through last year, and we uh mouthed a lot of them. Well, we mouthed everything, and I was pulling everything off that either didn't have any teeth or started having little cups in their teeth or things weren't sharp. I was pulling them off
Yeah.
and getting rid of them. Uh, and the machine we got, it's real easy to do that. It raises them up, and all they can do is move their head, and so all you got to do is it's real easy to mouth them.
yeah. Matt, tell him a little bit about your handler. Matt, you've seen it already, I think.
Yeah,
Okay.
play bulk handler.
Oh, yeah. Yeah,
It
yeah.
it's sweet. It to me it's almost like a cow calf operation having a squeeze chute.
Yeah,
You kind of need one.
yeah,
And in my opinion, if you're going to be in the small room, a guy needs one of these. I mean, it is we can run my brother-in-law, me, and my father-in-law, just the three of us. We can run 1,000 head and drench them, give them whatever they need, sort off what needs sorted off. We can have that done in 4 hours. I mean, uh, just real easy. I mean, it's a sweet system.
yeah. Yeah, I saw one out in a feedlot out in Colorado. I was really impressed. Obviously, you need to have enough animals to justify it,
Yes. Yeah.
but explain a little bit how it works.
So basically, like every and the floor of it, every I want to say it's like 5 inches or so. There's a piece of pipe that runs across, and it's on a chain. And then when you load that up, when you load that raceway up, uh, then you pull this lever, and it raises that floor up, and their feet dangle. And so basically, it's that floor is up against their belly, and their feet are dangling down, and all they can do is move their head. Uh,
Yeah.
it just it's neat. It's really neat.
And it's really nice because it's about 3 feet wide. Is that correct?
Yep, yep.
Oh, so it's about 3 feet wide, and I mean, there's different length, I believe. Is yours like a 30-footer maybe, or
The one we got's a 20 footer.
okay, 20-footer? So if you can picture an alley for our listeners, if you can picture an alley about 3 feet wide, 20 feet long, the first time I looked at it, I was like, that's never going to work. They're going to get in there and turn around and all that. But it does because they can go in side by side. So they go in really nice from,
Yeah.
you know, from what I've seen. They go in really nice, and then you just lift that floor up, and you have that whole, probably 20, 30 head that's in there
Yep.
immobilized.
Oh, yeah.
And you
Yeah.
can just go along and do whatever you want. If you need to give vaccines, drench them, whatever, you just go down the line, and then you drop the floor out, run that group out, and bring the next one in. So
Yeah.
that's a really, really cool system.
Yeah, they're neat. They're really neat.
Yeah. Yeah. And so the feedlot that we saw, they actually had a dual system, so they had
Oh,
2 of these
really?
side by side.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, that was really cool. I forget the numbers that they had told us that they can run through there and vaccinate. It was incredible. It was crazy.
Yeah.
Uh,
Oh,
so
yeah, they're very efficient and uh, uh they're a handy machine, very much so.
now is that a mobile unit, or do you have it stationed somewhere on your ranch?
No, we're partners with a guy on it. We went in partners with a guy that runs a lot of goats as well, and he does a lot of custom grazing. He has like Peruvians and so he needed it to be mobile. So we actually put it on a trailer and made it mobile. So
Yeah.
which is handy because even on our place, we can just pull up into the pasture where they are, gather them, work them, uh, and then move on.
Yeah, yeah, that's what I was gonna ask about. 'Cause I don't know if we've asked you how many acres your ranch is.
The open acres that we're grazing is 2,800.
Okay, yeah.
Oh,
So if you'd have a stationary unit and you have a group of goats way back in the back 100 acres, there'd be a little ways to bring them up
yeah,
um, to the
yeah.
central area to work them. So
Pretty
you can
much.
just go out there.
And it always seems like the time of year you gotta deal with these things. A lot of time it's in the heat of the summer, and
Yeah.
so when you can kind of set things up and keep it close to where you can get done quicker, it's just better for the animals. So
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
not mobile.
And if you're needing to drench for parasites or something like that, it's usually something that needs done
Yep.
now, not not in 2 weeks when we rotate back close to the ranch.
Yeah, exactly, exactly.
Yeah.
Now if we can just pair a is it Ram Quip?
Yep. Yeah, you're gonna need some aluminum, ram quip panels.
Yeah, we're gonna have to combine it with that.
Yeah, there you go.
Do any panels come with that ProWay? You just set up temporary corrals or something with that probably.
Yeah, we've kind of got set up. I've got a little trailer that I'll haul about 20 panels with, uh, and we can set up. And then we're about to try something different. We're gonna do that poly netting and just use the electric netting because all of our interior fences are all electrified, and so we're just gonna start using that electric netting to basically make a big pin, and then we can just come off the electric netting into an alleyway or build an alleyway with panels and make it come into our throwaway bulk handler.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
For people that are wondering what a unit like that costs, I had looked at it and I forget, but it's somewhere in the range of 20 to 30,000. So they're not cheap.
yeah, we
Um,
they right now they're actually in Texas. I believe it's in Vernon, Texas. They are selling them in Vernon, Texas. Uh, a lot of the units they're putting them together there, but you can buy a 10-foot unit for I think it was like 12 grand, 12 13
okay.
for a 10.
Okay. Yeah, I didn't realize they had that smaller unit.
Yep,
And then that was maybe 2 or 3 years ago that I had looked at it, but
yep,
yeah.
yep,
Yeah.
yep.
Hmm. Very good. Yeah. Well, that's very interesting. Um, yeah.
Anything else you'd like to cover yet, Matt or RH?
Well, we barely got started.
Well, I know, but we're already at almost at 50
We're
minutes.
getting out of time.
I'd be interesting to hear like selection for your billies and how you go about that. Like I'm supposing you're using your own bucks out of your own.
We are. And then so we have over time we've had to be careful because we're seeing that I don't know what it is about the American eye, but we like things to get big and put a lot of weight on and grow and so it always seemed like we'd always pick out we really like for a buck to be wide between the eyes, deep side, thick on his back, big bone, and that's what we were selecting for. Uh, and but then we also noticed that our best production come out of our black females, and our black females they were real moderate, and they had some side to them, and they ain't chicken bone, but maybe just a little bit smaller bone and more feminine looking. And so it made us go to thinking, you know what, we need to change our eye a little bit on what we're selecting for. And because, yeah, these one bucks are they got some growthy kids on them, but they, they don't give as many. So we need to select differently. So we've been trying to train our eye as well to select more so uh, for the in between. Maybe not pick out the billies that are the biggest, the growthiest, but don't pick the small end out and kind of just choose in the middle.
Mm. Yep,
Yep.
makes sense. When we were talking about gathering them up, I did have a question. I was wondering if you guys use dogs at all for that, or how do you gather up 4,000 goats?
So I couldn't do it without my border collies. Uh, I've got border collies. I couldn't do it without them. I always joke around with my brother-in-law because I call him the goat whisperer because he don't have a dog and he'll move them around and he'll finally get them moved, but he don't have a dog, and I don't see how he does it, but he does it. So, but yeah, I use a dog. I use a dog. I'll uh, I usually have several dogs. A lot of times I'll just use one until one plays out on me, and then I'll grab another one out and use it. But yeah, I use border collies. They have they save me a lot of steps. Uh, and I've also got one thing too I've started doing with them. I actually got a deal Saturday where I'm going and giving a message with them. Uh, I've started a ministry with my dogs and going and sharing about Jesus and going through the word dog. And I'll take usually 2 or 3 dogs with me, and I'll take sheep with me and set a pen up, have an obstacle course set up, and I'll go through the word dog, and I go through Matthew 16:24 and just give a message with the dogs. It's been pretty neat. It's been really neat.
Oh, that's cool.
Interesting.
A lot of interesting correlations there.
Oh, yeah.
Engaging.
The dog's got to have a desire to want to work. We got to have a desire to want to follow Jesus.
Yeah.
And Jesus says to his disciples in Matthew 16:24, deny yourself, take up your cross daily, and follow me.
Yeah.
And so the dogs have got to be obedient. How do they know how to be obedient if they don't spend time with their master? And same with us. We got to get into God's word to know to know his truths, to know his promises.
Mhm.
And then I close with the letter G in dog is God. And so then I'll guide these dogs, and I'll pick 3 people out of the audience and have them give the dogs commands and just try enticing these dogs to take their commands, but they won't take their commands. They only take the command from me as their master. And so I close with who's guiding you through life? Is it the world's ways? Is it the enemy's ways? Or is it God? And so
Right.
it's been neat. It's been really neat.
That's really cool. Yeah. Yeah. Oh, cool. Yeah. Yeah, I get that question sometimes with dogs if you can work goats with dogs, and I don't have any experience with it, but I didn't see why you couldn't. So
Yeah.
yeah.
But I tell you what, a goat can be hard on a dog. I mean, they can be. They can be so solely and they got horns and they know how to use them.
Yeah.
Uh, but once you get them dog broke, they're good.
Yeah.
Uh, but
If you can work hogs, you can work goats, I'm sure. Very good. Well, this has been an interesting discussion. Uh, I'm anxious too, RH, to see what you think when you get your load of feeders.
oh, I can't wait.
I think you should see them there in a few days. So maybe maybe we should do an episode about adjusting your feeders. That'd be
That,
something.
yeah, that too. And I thought too, uh, maybe the listeners they may have questions and maybe we can do a Q&A, whatever kind of questions they got, and we can kind of just uh, see what they want to hear, what they want to know.
Yeah. We have an email that people can email into, or they can call and leave a voicemail.
Anything he'd like to plug yet as far as your website, Facebook page, YouTube channel, maybe?
We're basically on Facebook and TikTok is kind of where we are. Uh, well, I guess a little bit of Instagram too, but yeah, just check us out there. Uh, and if you got any questions, just shoot away.
Yep. And that's Cluck Ranch.
Yep, Cluck Ranch, CLUCK Ranch.
Yes.
Uh,
Cluck like a chicken.
yeah, I always got made fun of a little bit. I had a friend of mine when I was dating my wife. He said, "So when you need something from her, do you smooch to her or do you cluck to her?" And I'm like, "Oh, you sucker." Yeah, yeah. Well, hopefully that makes you remember it. Cluck Ranch.
Yeah,
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
well,
That's a good
bye.
one.
All right. Well, thanks again, RH, for coming on today and joining us here on the podcast to talk about your goats. Hopefully, this satisfies our goat listeners for another couple of weeks. And you heard it, folks. If you have some questions, maybe you'd like to hear from RH on, you can go ahead and shoot me an email at leon@lostcreekwholesale.net, or you can give us a call at 717-310-3641 and select the option for podcast. And you can leave a voicemail there with whatever questions you might have. So yeah, thanks again, RH. Appreciate you coming on. Appreciate you coming on. Look forward to seeing how your feeders work out for you. It was an interesting discussion. We'll see ya.
Same to y'all. Thank you.
Thanks again, folks, for listening to another episode of the Profitable Sheep and Goat Production Podcast. This call is brought to you by Lost Creek Wholesale, your universal feeder distributor and your supplier of top quality sheep and goat handling and feeding equipment. If you're looking for feeders, lambing jugs, hay racks, tub and alley systems, portable handling systems, you name it, we got it. Check out our website, www.lostcreekwholesalellc.com, or you can give us a call at 717-310-3641. Thanks again, and we'll catch up with you next time.